The crash-landing Captain Marcus Stone watched the emergency beacon pulse red against the void of space. His cargo hauler resilient, Dawn had been transporting medical supplies to the outer colonies when the distress signal reached them. The source was a small escape pod drifting near the asteroid field of Zarian Prime, its hull scarred by weapons fire. Another trap? First Officer Diana Vale asked, her fingers dancing over the scanner controls. Pirates have been using fake distress calls all month. Marcus studied the readings. The pod's life support was failing, and heat signatures showed a single occupant. Maybe, but we can't ignore it if someone's really dying out there. They brought the pod aboard with careful precision. The docking bay filled with steam as the pod systems vented. When the hatch opened, Marcus felt his breath catch. Inside lay a woman, unlike any he'd ever seen. Her skin held a subtle blue tint that seemed to glow in the dim light, and her hair fell like silver water across her shoulders. Most striking were her eyes, large, luminous, and filled with tears that sparkled like liquid crystal. She wore the remnants of what appeared to be royal garments, torn and blood-stained. Around her neck hung a pendant that hummed with internal energy. When she saw Marcus, she reached out with trembling hands. "Please," she whispered, her voice carrying an accent he couldn't place. "They killed my family, destroyed our world. I'm all that's left of the Valorian royal house." Diana stepped forward with the medical scanner. "She's injured but stable. No immediate threats detected." The woman, who introduced herself as Princess Zara, collapsed against Marcus as he helped her to the medical bay. Her story unfolded between sobs. The Valorian system had been attacked by the Drokther Empire, a ruthless alien confederation known for enslaving peaceful worlds. Her father, the king, had sent her away in the escape pod moments before their capital city fell. "The pendant," she gasped, clutching the glowing ornament. "It contains the coordinates to our hidden fleet. 50 warships waiting for orders. But only someone of royal blood can activate them." Marcus felt the familiar burn of righteous anger in his chest. He'd seen too many worlds fall to the Drokther-S expansion. Human colonies had barely held their ground against the Empire's advance. A hidden fleet could change everything. "We'll get you to safety," he promised, "and help you. Contact your fleet." Zara's tears fell harder, but through them Marcus caught something that made him pause. For just a moment, her expression had shifted. The grief was replaced by something else: calculation, satisfaction, triumph. It lasted only a heartbeat before the mask of despair returned. Diana noticed it too. Their eyes met across the medical bay, and Marcus saw his own suspicion reflected there. Beautiful princess or not, something about their rescue didn't add up. The growing suspicion. 3 days into their journey to the nearest human outpost, Princess Zara had settled into the crew quarters with surprising ease. She moved through the ship like someone familiar with spacecraft design, her fingers trailing along control panels with practiced knowledge. When she thought no one was watching, her tears stopped completely. Marcus found her in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. In the soft light, her alien beauty was even more pronounced. The blue tint of her skin seemed to pulse with its own rhythm, and the pendant around her neck glowed brighter whenever she touched it. "Tell me about your world," Marcus said, settling beside her. Zara turned, and the tears began again as if summoned on command. Valoria was paradise, crystal cities that sang in the wind, gardens that bloomed in 7 colors. My people lived in harmony for thousands of years. Her description was vivid, but Marcus noticed something odd. She spoke of her homeworld in present tense, then quickly corrected to past tense. Small slips that revealed more than she intended. "The Drokther came without warning," she continued. "Their ships blotted out our twin suns. We had no military, no weapons of war. We were scholars, artists, dreamers. Diana appeared in the doorway, holding a datapad. Princess, I've been analyzing the readings from your escape pod. The weapon signatures don't match Drake-Thur technology. They're actually consistent with Xerillian plasma cannons. Marcus saw. Zara's jaw tightened for just a moment. I am not familiar with weapons. Perhaps the Drake-Thur use captured ships. Perhaps, Diana said, but her tone suggested she didn't believe it. Later, in the privacy of the captain's quarters, Diana shared her concerns. I've been monitoring her biometrics. Her stress levels are wrong for someone who's experienced trauma. And that pendant, it's not Valorian technology. The energy signature matches Xerillian neural interface devices. Marcus studied the data. On Diana's pad, the Xerillians were known throughout the galaxy as master manipulators, using advanced psychic technology to influence other species. They'd been allies of the Drake-Thur for decades. You think she's Xerillian? Marcus asked. I think she's whatever she needs to be to complete her mission, Diana replied. The question is, what does she want from us? That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He found himself walking the corridors, drawn by instinct to check on their guest. He found Zara's quarters empty, but voices echoed from the communications bay. Moving quietly, he peered around the corner and saw her at the subspace transmitter. She was speaking in a language he didn't recognize, but her tone was urgent, professional. Nothing like the frightened princess she'd been playing. The tears were gone, replaced by cold efficiency. When she turned, Marcus caught a glimpse of her true face, calculating, predatory, alien in a way that had nothing to do with her blue skin. She was reporting their position, their course, their capabilities. Marcus realized with growing horror that they weren't rescuing a princess. They were delivering themselves directly into enemy hands. The beautiful damsel in distress was the perfect trap, designed to prey on human compassion and their instinct to protect the innocent. But humans had another instinct that aliens often underestimated, the ability to adapt, to turn the tables when betrayed. The hunt begins. Marcus retreated to his quarters and immediately contacted Diana through their private comm channel. Emergency meeting, engineering bay, now. When Diana arrived, Marcus quickly explained what he'd witnessed. Her face hardened as the pieces fell into place. So we're flying straight into an ambush. How long before her friends arrive? Based on her transmission, maybe 6 hours. We need to act fast. They moved through the ship quietly, gathering their small crew. Besides Marcus and Diana, there was Chief Engineer Tommy Rodriguez, a gruff ex-military man who could make miracles happen with spare parts and determination. Security Officer Jake Mitchell rounded out their team, young but sharp, with reflexes honed by years of fighting pirates. Here's what we know, Marcus began once they were assembled. Our passenger isn't a Valorian princess. She's most likely Xerillian, working with the Drake-Thur. She's been feeding our position to enemy forces. Tommy spat into a maintenance rag. Should have known. No real princess cries that perfectly on command. Jake checked his sidearm. What's the plan? Space her. And run? No, Marcus said firmly. We're going to turn this around. If she wants to use human compassion as a weapon, let's show her what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. Diana pulled up the ship's schematics on her datapad. The communication array she used can be modified to broadcast false coordinates. We can make her handlers think we're heading to Starbase Echo while we actually head to the asteroid field. And then? Tommy asked. Marcus smiled grimly. Then we remind the galaxy why humans survived the colony wars. We don't just adapt to traps, we turn them into weapons. They spent the next 2 hours carefully modifying the ship's systems. Diana altered the navigation computer to show false readings while maintaining their actual course toward the asteroid field. Tommy rigged the ship's emergency systems to create convincing false sensor readings. Jake prepared their limited weapons and set up defensive positions. The hardest part was acting normal around Zara. When she emerged from her quarters for the morning meal, Marcus had to force himself to smile and play the concerned rescuer. She'd returned to her princess act, complete with trembling hands and grateful tears. "I had such terrible dreams," she said, accepting a cup of synthetic coffee. "I kept seeing my father's face when the Drakethir ships appeared." "You're safe now," Marcus assured her, noting how she watched his face for reactions. "We'll reach the human outpost soon. You can contact your hidden fleet from there." "You're so kind," she whispered, reaching out to touch his hand. The moment their skin made contact, Marcus felt a subtle tingling sensation. The pendant around her neck pulsed brighter. He pulled back casually, but not before noticing Diana's sharp look. The princess was using some form of psychic influence, probably trying to cloud their judgment or extract information. Another confirmation of her true nature. "Actually," Marcus said, as if struck by sudden inspiration, "I've been thinking about your fleet. With 50 warships, we could really hurt the Drakethir. Maybe even push them back from human space." Zara's eyes glittered with interest that seemed too calculating for grief. "My people's ships are powerful, but they need proper coordination. The pendant contains tactical data as well as activation codes. Would you be willing to share that information with human command? It could save thousands of lives." "Of course," she said quickly. Too quickly. Anything to stop the Drakethir from hurting more innocent people. But Marcus caught the slight smile that played at the corners of her mouth. She thought she was winning, drawing them deeper into whatever trap awaited. What she didn't realize was that humans had been setting traps of their own for centuries. And they'd learned that the best trap was one the enemy walked into willingly. The tables turned. The Drakethir battlecruiser Void Render dropped out of hyperspace, exactly where Zara's false coordinates had indicated. Captain Nexreth, a massive reptilian warrior with ceremonial scars covering his scaled hide, studied the empty space with growing confusion. "No human ship," reported his tactical officer. "Sensor sweeps show nothing but cosmic debris." Meanwhile, the resilient Dawn hung silently in the shadow of a massive asteroid, all systems running on minimal power. Marcus watched the enemy ship through their passive sensors, counting weapon emplacements and shield generators. 12 heavy plasma cannons, 6 missile tubes, and military-grade deflector shields, Diana whispered. "We're outgunned about 50 to 1. "Good thing we're not planning to fight fair," Marcus replied. In the guest quarters, Zara was growing agitated. Her pendant pulsed erratically as she tried to contact her allies, but Tommy's modifications to the communication array prevented any outgoing signals. She'd abandoned her princess act entirely, pacing like a caged predator. Jake watched her through the security monitors. "She's getting desperate, starting to show her true colors." "Let her," Marcus said. "Desperate enemies make mistakes." The Drakethir ship began expanding its search pattern, moving closer to the asteroid field. Marcus waited until it was positioned exactly where he wanted it, then activated their trap. Tommy had spent hours modifying mining charges left over from their last cargo run. Instead of cracking asteroids, they'd been rigged to create massive electromagnetic pulses. When the charges detonated in sequence around the enemy ship, its shields flickered and died. "Now!" Marcus shouted. Diana fired up the engines and brought them out of hiding, but not to attack. Instead, they broadcast on all emergency frequencies, sending detailed scans of the Drakethir ship to every human outpost within range. "This is Captain Marcus Stone of the Resilient Dawn," he announced. "We have a Drakethir battlecruiser trapped in the Zarian asteroid field. Shields down, engines damaged. Requesting immediate support from any human vessels in the area." The response was immediate. 3 human patrol ships dropped out of hyperspace, followed by a destroyer that had been conducting training exercises nearby. Captain Nexroth found himself facing 4 human vessels, while his own ship was crippled by the EMP attack. Impossible, the Drake, their captain, snarled. The human cargo ship was supposed to be alone, defenseless. Zara burst onto the bridge of the resilient Dawn, her disguise finally abandoned. Her true form was revealed taller, more angular, with features that shifted between beautiful and predatory. The tears were gone, replaced by fury. "You primitive fools," she hissed. "You have no idea what you've done. The Zerillian Empire will—" "Will what?" Marcus interrupted. "Send more spies disguised as helpless princesses. We've already transmitted your biometric data to every human colony. Your shapeshifting won't work anymore." Diana stepped forward with neural-dampening restraints. The pendant was the key, wasn't it? A psychic amplifier to help you manipulate our emotions. Too bad human engineers learned to shield against that decades ago. As the human ships surrounded the disabled Drakethir cruiser, Marcus opened a channel to Captain Nexrath. "This is how humans respond to deception. You used our compassion against us, but you forgot something important. Humans protect their own, and when someone threatens our people through lies and manipulation, we don't just fight back, we make sure everyone knows about it." The Drakethir captain's reptilian features twisted in rage. "This changes nothing. The Empire will crush your pathetic species." "Maybe," Marcus admitted. "But today, you learned that humans don't stay victims for long. We adapt, we overcome, and we turn your own weapons against you." The human response 6 months after the incident at Zerion Prime, the galaxy had changed. The captured Drakethir battlecruiser provided human engineers with advanced technology that revolutionized their defensive capabilities. More importantly, the exposure of the Zerillian infiltration program had united humanity like nothing before. Marcus stood in the briefing room of Starbase Echo, looking out at representatives from every human colony and military unit. The Resilient Dawn had been retrofitted as a scout ship, part of the new human intelligence network designed to counter alien deception operations. Admiral Janet Reeves, a stern woman with steel-gray hair and harder eyes, addressed the assembly. "The Zerillian spy network has been operating for decades. Princess Zara's capture revealed the locations of 17 infiltration cells across human space. We've arrested 43 operatives and prevented countless sabotage missions." Guyana, now promoted to intelligence director, presented their findings. "The Zerillians have been using our own nature against us, our willingness to help those in need, our protective instincts, our capacity for trust. They study human psychology and create perfect targets for our compassion. But they made one critical error," Marcus added, taking the podium. "They assumed that compassion made us weak. They didn't understand that humans don't just adapt to survive, we adapt to protect others." The holographic display showed human colonies throughout the galaxy, each one now equipped with psychic dampeners and alien detection systems. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become the foundation for humanity's greatest defensive network. Tommy Rodriguez, now Chief of Defensive Engineering, explained the technical improvements. "Every human ship now carries EMP charges and signal jammers. We've turned their own infiltration tactics into early warning systems. When they try to plant spies, we track them back to their source." Jake Mitchell, promoted to head of counterintelligence, shared the operational updates. "We've established contact with other species who've been victims of Zerillian manipulation. The Altarian Republic, the Centauri Federation, even some Drakthir dissidents are sharing intelligence with us. But the most significant change wasn't technological, it was philosophical. Humanity had learned to balance compassion with caution, to help without being helpless. They'd developed what military strategists called aggressive empathy, the willingness to protect the innocent while ruthlessly pursuing those who would exploit that willingness. Zara herself had become a valuable source of information. Her memories extracted through carefully controlled psychic interfaces. The irony wasn't lost on Marcus that the spy sent to manipulate human minds had her own mind harvested for intelligence. The war isn't over, Admiral Reeves concluded. The Drake, their empire, and their Zerillian allies are still out there, still expanding, still enslaving worlds. But they've learned something important about humanity. We don't just survive, we evolve. Every trap they set makes us stronger. Every deception they attempt teaches us new defenses. Marcus looked around the room at faces representing billions of humans across hundreds of worlds. They'd started as scattered colonies barely holding their own against alien aggression. Now they were becoming something new, a species that could match alien cunning with human determination, alien technology with human innovation. The next time they send us a princess in distress, Marcus said with a grim smile, we'll be ready. Because humans don't just fall for the same trick twice. We turn it into a weapon and use it to protect everyone else who might be vulnerable. The applause that followed wasn't just appreciation, it was a declaration. Humanity had been tested by deception and emerged stronger. They'd proven that compassion and cunning could coexist, that protecting others didn't require sacrificing intelligence. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's capacity for both kindness and ruthlessness. That mistake would reshape the balance of power among the stars, one rescued princess at a time.